Welcome to the on-demand webcast of What's New in Sage Accpac version 5.4. This webcast will highlight many of the new features of Sage Accpac ERP version 5.4. However, it does not cover the complete list of the 267 new features, only the most significant ones. Comprehensive documentation on all the new features is available on our website and can be obtained from your local solution provider. Please note that since this presentation only covers a select set of new features, you should work with your local solution provider for additional details. Do not use information from this webcast as the sole decision-making criteria. We begin with the new additions to common services. The bank services enhancements include the ability to store encrypted credit card information used to record and track a credit card used on purchases and receipts, to drill down to transactions in bank reconciliation, reconcile individual deposit transactions within a batch, and the ability to reconcile OFX statements. The tax services enhancements include the ability to specify a tax reporting currency and automatically calculate taxes in the source currency, functional currency, and the tax reporting currency. The credit card types screen under the bank setup allows you to define credit card records for transaction entry where credit cards can be entered. Once transactions are recorded for a credit card, they can be reconciled as a credit card withdrawal or deposit type. Let's see this in action in the Accounts Payable and the Accounts Receivable modules. When selecting a credit card payment type on Transaction Entry in Accounts Payable, a credit card button will appear. Once you select the credit card button, the credit card screen will open. This screen allows you to record detailed credit card information that will be added to the entry for bank reconciliation. On the other side of the equation, in Accounts Receivable, a new credit card tab has been added to the customer form to provide the storing of credit card information for a customer using the credit card types established in bank services. Note that there is additional security in administrative services to restrict the viewing and editing of this information. It means that with the new security options, only authorized users can see or change customer credit information. Support for storing credit card information with proper security is a valuable part of making it easier to do business. The bank reconciliation screen and process has changed significantly in version 5.4. Users can now drill down to transaction details, record credit card information, and clear individual customer receipts. The Summary tab includes a new line to account for credit card charges entered during reconciliation. The Withdrawals tab now includes additional columns of information, including the payment code and the credit card information. With these changes, you have more options to get to the information quicker. The Document button on the Withdrawals tabs of Reconcile Statements screen allows you to drill down to the original transaction entry for the selected transaction line. It will open up the screen an entry in which the original transaction was entered. This is a continuation of the drill down ability already available in several other screens of Sage Accpac ERP. Our goal is to empower you to do your business better. The Deposit tab also includes additional information for reconciliation. In version 5.4, you can now reconcile individual deposit transactions within a batch. The Deposits page also includes information on totals and running summaries of cleared and write-off amounts. The Details button allows you to access detailed information for the selected deposit line. Clicking on this button will open up the Deposits Details screen. This provides efficiency in addition to powerful information retrieval. Version 5.4 has enhanced the functionality to allow users to reconcile their banks using the OFX statement format provided by most banks. You can use the Import Bank Statements screen to download bank statements in the OFX format provided by your financial institution. Bank statements can be imported individually or several at a time. Once these statements are imported, you can use the Reconcile OFX Statements screen to reconcile the imported transactions to the transactions in bank services. After matching all the transactions, you can now access the Reconcile Statements screen to complete your reconciliation and then post. Sage Accpac ERP continues to improve its features to enable you to do more. Tax services. In place of the source currency defined for tax groups in the previous versions, tax services in version 5.4 now provides a tax reporting currency. This is the currency in which the tax is reported and remitted. The reporting currency feature allows clients to report taxes in a currency that is different than the transaction currency or functional currency. The tax tracking report has also been enhanced to include the option to print amounts in tax reporting currency. Sage Accpac is ideally suited for international business operations and adapts to your way of doing business. Let's now move on to the general ledger. The new enhancements to the general ledger include the ability to define your own account groups and assigning them to your general ledger account sort code, to specify if you want to automatically post general ledger journal entry batches created from accounts receivable, accounts payable, and inventory control, and the ability to see the new year information on the year-end screen while creating a new year. Let's take a look at these. General ledger account groups. In previous versions, users were restricted to the account group drop-down list and predefined account groups. In version 5.4, users can now create their own account groups for accounts and can also define a separate sorting order for reporting. Once the account groups are defined, you have the ability to redefine the sort codes at any time. Identifying how the account groups will sort is simplified by the Change Sort Code screen. You can select to sort the account groups by account group order or by a new sort code. Sage Accpac ERP empowers you to define what type of information you want presented the way you want. General Ledger Account Screen. To accommodate the new account group structure, the account screen has changed to include a finder for the account group code. This ensures that the customizations you made in the account groups are available throughout the system. Defining General Ledger Integration. The General Ledger integration options have been greatly enhanced in version 5.4. This change affects multiple modules like accounts receivable, accounts payable, and inventory control. We look at accounts receivable as an example. In previous versions of accounts receivable, the integration to the GL was defined in the options icon. In version 5.4, these settings have been enhanced and moved to its own icon, General Ledger Integration. The Integration tab defines when and how General Ledger transactions are generated from the module. On the Integration tab under Create General Ledger Transactions By, there are now three choices of how to integrate with existing unposted General Ledger batches which originated in accounts receivable: adding to an existing batch, creating a new batch, and creating and posting a new batch. The last one is a new option. When this option is selected, all the accounts receivable batches will be sent to the general ledger as separate batches and will not be merged with the existing accounts receivable batches in the general ledger. In addition, the batches will be posted in the general ledger immediately and automatically. This essentially makes the system real-time. Sage Accpac gives you the freedom of choice in the way you want the information to flow in your ERP system. The Create New Year screen has been updated to reflect the new year being created and the various functions that will be performed in the year end. Again, information at your fingertips. The General Ledger enhancements enable you to establish a customized framework to run your business. Now let's move on to Accounts Receivable. In Accounts Receivables 5.4, significant additions have been introduced. In the customer information screens, there are new fields for customer defaults and new options for credit card settings and security. In the invoice entry functions, there are many productivity enhancements, including the time-saving quick mode and the ability to use item invoices for recurring charges. And under receipt entry functions, there are many new features like payment code for payment methods, the ability to process advanced credit claims, perform cash invoicing for miscellaneous receipts, and the ability to print those receipts. With the brand new customer refund entry feature, you can now issue a refund by check, cash, or credit card, and you can issue both credit refunds and return refunds. Let's review these features. Creating customers. While creating customers, the customer group code can now be changed anytime after a customer has been added and can be changed to a customer group even if the new group does not use the same currency. Several new fields have been added for customer defaults. In version 5.4, you can create default tax groups, tax classes, salespeople, and statement options for groups of customers. You can specify a default inventory location for the customer so that goods are shipped from the nearest warehouse location. You can now change the account set at any time for a customer as long as the new account set uses the same currency as the customer. A new section of the customer group screen allows you to configure accounts receivable to issue a warning to a user when certain criteria are met. This includes the options of total outstanding balance exceeding the credit limit and accounts receivable transactions aged by certain days exceeding a certain amount. When selected, these options become the default for all your customers added using this customer group. Sage Accpac continues to provide more ways to serve your customers. Additionally, Accounts Receivable version 5.4 now allows key account numbers assigned to an account set already assigned to a customer to be changed. A member of a national account may now use a different account set than the national account. They must still be the same currency though. In addition, there is a new exchange rounding account to track differences from rounding in multi-currency transactions. Customer activity. To inquire on customer activity, Accounts Receivable version 5.4 has enhanced the customer activity form to provide additional methods of searching and sorting the information on the Transactions and Receipts tabs. The new Credit Status button verifies the credit worthiness of a customer. The Credit Status screen will appear when selected and will display all the pertinent information, including the customer details, credit limit, outstanding balance, and credit limit exceeded by. In version 5.4, you can now check a customer's credit based on pending transactions in both accounts receivable and order entry, plus their aged transactions. You can save the selections you make to view transactions within customer activity, for example, order by, so that they can be used as defaults. Under the Transactions tab, the terms code for a document is now displayed in a column. You can specify a starting date or value depending on the selection in the order by field. In previous versions, you could not specify a date in the starting value field, even if a document or due date was selected in the order by field. The pending payment total column now includes pending refunds if include pending amounts option is selected. You can select to sort receipts on the Receipts tab by either receipt number or by receipt date. Now you also have the ability to print statements for open item customers that show only those documents that have had activity since the last statement. Additionally, you can now view year-to-date statistics for the customer and the customer group. Put together, this powerful set of enhancements lets you track your customers more efficiently. Invoicing enhancements. To make invoicing function efficient, multiple users can now enter and post invoices simultaneously. Enhanced credit limit check now includes unposted, pending transactions as defined in accounts receivable setup. Quick mode is a new setting to allow you to choose which fields to copy to new entries and new fields. To specify which fields to reuse, select Quick Mode from the Settings menu at the top of the invoice screen. The Quick Mode for Entries option lets you copy header fields to new transactions in the batch in which you're working. This would be especially useful when entering several transactions for the same customer. Quick Mode for Lines option allows you to copy the detail fields to new detail lines in the transaction in which you're working. This is useful when entering several lines in which the same comments or description were required. Recurring charges. A major enhancement in version 5.4 is the ability to have item type documents. Items can now be used on a recurring charge invoice. Comments are now supported for detail lines for both summary and item type transactions. Additionally, it's now possible to set up a zero amount recurring charge. Receipt entry. Receipt entry function has been enhanced in version 5.4 in various ways. Multiple users can now enter and post receipts, multiple invoices, adjustment and refund batches simultaneously. Receipts of different currencies can now be entered into the same batch, though they must still use the same bank. A deposit slip number can now be assigned to more than one receipt batch. This is useful if an error batch is created from a posted receipt batch. The original deposit slip number can now be assigned to the error batch to facilitate the reconciliation process. If the payment code is a credit card, then a new button, Credit Card, will appear to allow the entry of credit card information. That credit card type is created in bank services. If no card type exists, then no information can be entered on this form. In addition, the card number must be a valid credit card number to be entered. Miscellaneous receipts can now be entered for customers and non-customers. This provides for the ability to enter cash invoice or cash refund. Cash returns or negative miscellaneous receipts are treated the same as cash invoices. A new function for receipt type transactions, Advance Credit, facilitates the issuance of credit to a customer before a receipt of goods has been received or an actual credit note has been issued. Once the goods have been received or the actual credit note can be issued, the transaction will be issued against the advance credit rather than the original invoice. Accounts Receivable version 5.4 has added the functionality to process a refund for customers using the Customer Refunds feature and specify the payment method. Customer refunds can include cash, credit card, and check refunds, including the ability to split the refund among different payment methods. Customer refunds are applied against credit documents like credit notes, receipts, prepayments, and unapplied cash. For a refund with a payment code of check, a check can be printed and sent to the customer. Now you can issue both credit refunds and return refunds. Refund is issued automatically for return goods. You can now print ANSI compliant refund checks for the US and Canada. Additionally, you can also void a check from the refund entry screen. Sage Accpac continues to provide flexibility in the ways of doing business. Let's now move over to Accounts Payable. Enhancements to Accounts Payable include vendors' communication through email messages for correspondence, improved invoice entry through quick mode entry and by applying fixed amount distribution sets, and payment entry improvements by way of payment codes for payment methods, being able to process cash invoicing for miscellaneous payments, setting payment limits in control payments, and having optional fields in payment selection criteria. The email messages function under Accounts Payable setup allows you to send email correspondence with vendors using predefined email templates. You can define multiple templates and can use this function when printing letters or labels. The letter is sent as an attachment, but the email message will be defined on this screen. You can manage your vendor relations from one centralized place. The invoice entry screen has been enhanced to allow for quicker data entry and easy access to batch information. As with all transaction entry screens, batch information is now on a separate screen that can be accessed by clicking on the zoom button next to batch number. Quick mode is a new setting to allow you to choose which fields to copy to new entries and new fields. To specify which fields to reuse, select Quick Mode from the Settings menu at the top of the invoice entry screen, and the Quick Mode screen will appear. Quick Mode for Entries option will allow you to copy header fields to new transactions in the batch in which you're working. This would be especially useful when entering several transactions for the same vendor. Quick Mode for Lines option will allow you to copy detail fields to new detail lines in the transactions in which you're working. This would be useful when entering several lines in which the same comments or description were required. Additionally, you now have the ability to enter an invoice and apply a payment at the same time for on-the-spot settlement of an invoice. In version 5.4, there is a new distribution method for distribution sets that allows a fixed amount to be spread across multiple distributions. If selected, you can enter the default fixed amount for each distribution line in the distribution amount column. This new distribution method requires a currency code. Also, the distribution set currency must match the vendor currency on transaction entry in order to use this distribution set. Just like in accounts receivable, you can now designate a multi-currency rounding accounts in accounts payable. Once again, more options to better run your business. The payment codes function in accounts payable allows you to specify the payment methods on payment entry. This information can be used for tracking specific payment methods on reconciliation and for capturing credit card information on the transaction. This function is very similar to the former receipt types function, now also called payment codes in accounts receivable. The payment type options include cash, check, credit card, and other. The payment entry function has been enhanced to now offer improved miscellaneous payments, cash invoices, payment codes, and more flexible prepayments. The payment code field allows you to specify the method of payment for the transaction. Prepayments can now be entered without being applied to a document number. Miscellaneous payments can now be entered for vendors and non-vendors. This allows the ability to enter cash invoices with tax calculations. When reversing the miscellaneous payment transaction in bank services, those miscellaneous payment entries where there is no vendor, both the payment and the invoice entry are reversed. Like in accounts receivables, this version allows multiple users to add entries to the same batch at the same time. The control payment functions now includes the ability to define a payment limit for documents and allows for separate processing of invoices and interest documents when selecting ranges of documents. You can use the payment limit field to restrict the payment of a document to a specified amount when you generate payments using the Create Payment Batch form. You can issue a payment that exceeds the payment limit on a manual payment entry. Note that documents placed on hold will now give a warning in manual payment entry when applying a payment. The payment selection codes and create payment batch functions have been enhanced to include greater number of criteria for selecting vendors to pay. You can select a range of payment codes to include in vendor selection. This field refers to the payment code field defined in the vendor record. You can now include one optional field in your vendor selection criteria. Put together, these features give you more control over the management of your funds. Let's now proceed to inventory control. In version 5.4 of inventory control, under the item setup, you have item wizard for new items, multiple weight units of measure, customer item numbers, and multi-level bills of material. Under the item pricing, you have advanced pricing options and price check features. Let's review these in greater detail. Creating a new item. You can now quickly create new inventory items using the Items Wizard. The New Items Wizard helps streamline the creation of an item by going through all of the required setup screens using just one interface. For example, information such as the item number, item locations, and the standard cost can be defined in one clean motion rather than having to open multiple icons. Weights units of measure. In previous versions of inventory control, it was possible to define only one weight unit of measure. It is now possible to define multiple weights units of measure, for example, pounds, kilograms, tons, etc. You can define a table of weights units of measure with conversion factors and assign them to inventory items. Inventory locations. Under inventory locations in setup, you can now keep track of goods in transit using logical versus physical inventory designations. In Inventory Control 5.4, locations are now designated as either physical or logical. Physical location indicates that the items can be received to or shipped from that location. Logical location means that the location can only be used as a goods in transit location. Items cannot be received to or shipped from that location. Price Check tab. Under Setup, the Price List Codes screen is used in conjunction with the Order Entry program. It is possible to prevent users from selling items where the price or sales margin of the items is either above or below a pre-specified cost. To ensure that an item is not sold at a price either higher or lower than a cost plus percentage or sales margin, you can specify a value of either warning, error, or approval. If you do not want to enforce price checks, it can be disabled by leaving the value of price check type to none. Major changes have been made to the bills of materials function. The most notable change is the ability to define unlimited levels of assemblies and subassemblies in a single bill of material. Two new icons have been created to enhance bill of materials maintenance: the Copy Bill of Materials icon and the Update Bills of Materials icon. In the previous versions of inventory control, it was possible to specify which item is to be the master item and also choose which items are going to be the components for that master item. In this version, it's possible to zoom in on a component item which might in turn be a master item. Also notice the new tree view on the left-hand pane. This view can be used to quickly view and navigate through the master items, components, and subassemblies. The Copy Bill of Materials icon is used to create a new bill of material based on an existing bill of material. It is possible to create a new bill of material for the same master item or a new master item. The Update Bills of Materials icon is used to add, remove, or replace particular components in a range of bills of material. This icon can be used to change the fixed or variable costs for a range of bills of material by either a percentage or an amount. You can now separate components from finished product using the sellable status for inventory items. While defining item record, if the sellable field is checked, then the item can be ordered, sold, and shipped in the order entry module. The item can also be shipped in the inventory control module. If the field was left unchecked, it will not be possible to ship the item in order entry or inventory control. Contract pricing. In version 5.4, if a check mark is placed next to the Use Lowest Price box, the customer will be charged the lesser of the contract price or the price list price. Order entry is authorized to use the lowest price for your customer regardless of the contract price. Additional features in this version include being able to store customer-specific item numbers in inventory and the use of advanced pricing features for more control over your sales. It is now possible to base the selling price of an item on weight in addition to the quantity ordered. Furthermore, it is now possible to configure a price list such that an item is not sold if its price is either higher or lower than a cost plus percentage or sales margin. You can specify how the item's price is to be calculated. The price can be computed either by weight or by quantities. With these new inventory control features, Sage Accpac offers even more options to better manage your business. Now let's take a look at the order entry module. The enhancements to Order Entry 5.4 include, under the Customers, new pending credit check settings and security options, and under the Orders, Shipments, and Invoice functions, the ability to check the price of an item to ensure the price is not below a specified cost or below a specified margin, the ability to copy orders from one customer to another, enter credit card information, and to allow authorized users to view item costs during order entry, to specify a discount for the entire order as well as detail lines, and the ability to view the bill of materials and to specify item weight and weight unit of measure during order, shipment, and invoice entry. Let's take a look. Entering quotations and sales orders. There are significant additions and enhancements in the order entry interface. The pre-credit check button allows the user to determine whether the customer is over his or her credit limit. Accpac will calculate prices of all items displayed in the detail lines against the posted balance of the customer in accounts receivable. In addition, Accpac may also include the pending balances in order entry and accounts receivable, depending on how the credit check options were configured in the order entry setup. If a default location was specified for the customer in the customer master in accounts receivable, that location will be the default value on the order header. That value can be overridden, ensuring that the goods are shipped from the nearest warehouse. Sage Accpac is committed to provide ways of improving every facet of the business. Entering invoices. In the invoice entry interface, the pre-credit check button allows the user to determine whether the customer is over his or her credit limit. It is also possible to click on the drill down button to review the shipment that is being invoiced. In fact, it is now possible to drill down at every level of the order, shipment, and invoice process. Various security-based options have now been added. You have the ability to enter credit card information, allow authorized users to view item costs during order entry, specify a discount for the entire order as well as detail lines, and view the bill of materials during order, shipment, and invoice entry. In case of a multi-currency operation, in version 5.4, you have an account for multi-currency rounding differences in accounts receivable and order entry. Copying orders. In order entry 5.4, it is now possible to copy a sales order or a range of sales orders that was created for one customer to another customer. You can enter the customer number whose order you wish to copy and the customer number of the customer for whom you're creating a new order and enter the range of order numbers that should be copied to the new order. Current orders inquiry. In order entry 5.4, you can choose to view orders by the status. The reporting options appear in the drop-down list. This enables you to track up-to-the-minute orders information. Now let's take a look at the purchase order module. In purchase orders, you can now set up contract pricing for each vendor, assign security rights to allow specific users to view costing information in receipt entry, and automatically post accounts payable batches created from purchase orders. In the project and job costing module, there is now an integration from within Payroll. One of the chief features in project and job costing is the ability to print AIA documents G702 and G703. Also, you now have the option to enter costs in project and job costing instead of entering them in accounts payable. Additionally, you can add new categories and resources to projects at any time. Last but not the least, the basic and standard styles have now been extended to the project level. Various new features have been added to the payroll module in version 5.4 under earnings and deductions setup, employee setup, and transaction processing. The most significant enhancement is the ability to print a certified payroll report in the US payroll module. What you just saw was only a few of the 267 exciting new features of Sage Accpac version 5.4. Please note that several features in version 5.4 are edition specific, while majority of the new features are available in all the three editions. For your convenience, following is a comparison summary of the features that are not available in all editions. You should contact your solution provider for specific details to determine which edition you will need. Features such as user-defined account groups, vendor contract costs, and advanced credit claims in receipt entry are only available in the 500 and the 200 editions. The new inventory control features like multiple levels of bills of material, customer item numbers, and advanced pricing features are only available in the 500 edition. Similarly, in the payroll module, there are features that are only available in editions 500 and 200, and those that only come with the 500 edition. Once again, you should choose the edition in consultation with your solution provider. In this session, we were only able to give you an overview of some of the key features. Please visit our website for more information. That website is www.sageaccpac.com/products/new. And thank you for attending this webcast.